We are going to John O'Fallon and line 4. Mr. John, how are you?
I'm doing good, Sean. It's been a while.
We've missed you. Where you been?
I've been listening. I just have a little bit of trouble with my local leaders for calling your show, but I don't want to talk about it. It's not why I called. Hey, I've been listening to your show the last few weeks, and you've been mocking the word of wisdom. And I'm here to tell you, Sean, that I have a testimony of the word of wisdom, and I've lived its principles, and it's worked in my life. And I'm in better shape than most non-members that I know. And even my wife will tell you that I'm in the best shape of anybody she's ever known.
God, you're killing me. You are killing me, man. If you're real, they can write me and tell me you're not real. I think you are, but if you are the biggest piece of work I've ever met in my life. And I mean that in a good way. You just blow my mind with the things you say, John. Well, look, John, my comments on the word of wisdom were not against the wisdom of the advice at all. My thing is, on the word of wisdom is used today as a measure of whether somebody can know God or not after this life.
Because it's a measure of our righteousness, Sean. If we're keeping the commandments and following the words of the prophets, and it's a measure of whether we're keeping the commandments of God and willing to be obedient to Him.
Okay, so are you follow the word of wisdom, John?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
I know you don't, though. I can tell by just looking at you.
What do I break?
Well, I'm not.
Let's do a test. I'm kind of curious because I obviously I'm not going to follow it, but tell me what you think I don't follow.
I'm not going to say, Sean. You know
doobage?
What it is.
Nope. Don't smoke the doobage. Cigarettes? Nope. Don't do cigarettes. Alcohol? Nope. Don't drink alcohol. I'll admit it. I like to eat meat. Do you eat meat, John?
I do on occasion, yes.
Sparingly, then. Only in times of season, in times of famine, right?
No, I eat it more than that.
John? You are not obeying the word of wisdom, my brother.
No, that's your interpretation,
Of
Sean.
course it is. Hey, is it all right for me to drink mild barley drinks, John?
Yeah.
Which would be beer?
No, not alcohol. You know that, Sean.
All right, so what else are we going to say tonight? Besides the word of wisdom, I think the word of wisdom is good advice. I made that plain and clear. Your argument tonight on that one's not very good. You got anything else?
Well, the other thing on the word of wisdom, too, Sean, you're saying that Joseph Smith didn't follow it. He did follow the word of wisdom. He didn't drink. Okay, I know what you were saying, that he had a bar in his house and he drank the night before he died. That is not true. That's all this anti-Mormon conjecture.
Oh my goodness, John, you're really, really proving yourself foolish tonight. I mean, it's in your history of the church. It's not conjecture. It is fact. He drank a beer at Mosser's, he wrote it. He drank wine with a woman who later became his wife. He had a bar in his house, so maybe he didn't drink that. That can happen. And he drank wine to lift their spirits the night he died, or the day he died. Come on.
How do you know it wasn't grape juice, Sean?
Well, does grape juice lift your spirits?
It could.
I love you, man. It's a reasonable approach, John. It's just reasonable. You bring in irrational approaches. I'm just trying to say, I think it's reasonable that when on the last day, but we know he drank beer, and we know that he drank a wine that was brought from England, old wine with a woman at her home. So I'm sorry, you're wrong on that. He also smoked a cigar going through Nauvoo. If I smoked a cigar as a member of the church, walking through the streets, my bishop saw me, I wouldn't get the temple recommend, which I need to go and get my endowments, which I need to have to go live with God. So John, this argument, you've really lost tonight.
Well, you shouldn't get your temple recommend if you do those things, Sean, because it's a measure of
Well, then why did
obedience.
Joseph get one? Why did Joseph get a recommend?
I don't think he needed one, Sean. He's the prophet.
Yes! Well, hey, are you letting your wife watch, or are you keeping her in chains in the dungeon still?
She's been listening on occasion when I'm not around.
John, is there anything that we're reaching you with? I mean, you think everything I'm saying with regard to history, the facts, all of it are lies?
I do, Sean. I think you've got some devious motivations. I think you want to bring the church down, and you'll say and do anything to accomplish that.
Wow. Well, and you went to utlm.org and checked out facts or that?
Yeah, I did. I've been there. You've asked me to, and I've gone there and I've looked at Sandra Tanner's stuff.
And none of it impressed you at all?
Well, I think you know what I think of her.
Well, what you think of her or what you think of her work? Personally, what you think of her is probably off because you may not know her, but she's a lovely person. But her work is even more impeccable. Yeah. Wow. Anyway, all right, John, keep watching, and if you come up with something more substantive, please call.
Work out some more, Shawn. You need it.
Oh, now that's a low blow. Do you think you can outdo me like in the gym?
I know I could, Shawn.
Yes! You're so humble, man. I love that. Well, maybe someday we can meet, John, and see who's the tougher guy.
All right, you name the time and place.
Yeah! John's getting violent now. All right, man. Call those Danites like you threw down on me that first time. I want you to know, John, I love you. I wouldn't fight you. In old days, I might, but in this day, I love you. I wouldn't fight you. I would sit there with you and try to share Jesus with you. And that's what
I'm not talking about fighting, Shawn. You want to meet in the gym, and we'll see who's the bigger man.
Well, you're kind of scaring me now, John. All right, sometime if we're in the same neighborhood, we'll do it.
Bye.
All right, you take care. Bye-bye.